I thought I was done with Smogon videos, but since I got unbanned on Twitter, I caught wind of this as it happened, and it broke my brain. Because 3 Pokemon have been banned from Smogon without a community vote. So don't worry, the OU Council will save us from Chiyu, Annihilape, and Cyclizar. Man, I wish I could just ban Pokemon that beat me sometimes and win more often, which is really all Smogon has ever been, but it just becomes more and more of that with every generation. Who cares about trying to learn the game or develop a meta anytime someone tries to develop the meta, tries to come up with some kind of niche pick or new strategy? Just get rid of it immediately because losing makes us look bad. It also looks like Pao is becoming the Therian Landorus of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Everyone's using it, but somehow that doesn't make it over-centralizing, and then it just doesn't get touched because it's the Golden Child. I don't know, like, in what world is Chiyu stronger than Pao? I guess the casual world where you ban everything, and then, like, you go into the actual reasoning behind it, and it makes absolutely no sense. So we can actually get some competitive discussion out of it. It really looks like that this is just a salty runback after Terastalization was successfully not banned by the Smogon community. But man, that got close. Terra was almost banned by Smogon, and that would have been just like another main gimmick getting banned. We saw that with Dynamax, and that just ruins the entire generation because Generation 8 was balanced around Dynamax, and it actually was a better competitive gimmick than Mega Evolution, which was just wild. And you can also say that Smogon effectively banned Mega Evolution from Generation 6 and Generation 7 because they banned so many of them. So now it just kind of seems like if something makes the game interesting and requires thought and actual creative team building, it must be banned, and Terastalization almost got it. So, oh, Terra didn't get banned, but we the OU Council wanted it banned, therefore we're just back to quick bans. Screw the community, we can't trust them anymore. Only we are allowed to decide what is allowed in Pokemon because we are so much better than everyone else. So let's see why Chiyu was banned. In what should be the least surprising tiering decision of Scarlet and Violet so far, then why wasn't it banned first round if it's supposed to be that ridiculous? This is derangement. It's like they also forgot they said the same things about Fluttermane, Houndstone, and Palafin. Like, how is this the least surprising thing? Also, because it's Smogon, whenever you hear about a ban, it shouldn't be surprising because these babies can't handle real Pokemon. And then it got a unanimous ban vote, despite being initially overshadowed by Pao. But it doesn't make sense. Like, there's like one line from every ban decision that makes it just go, oh, so you're giving reasons as to why it shouldn't be banned. Something that deserves a ban should be so overwhelming oppressive that there isn't a devil's advocate for it. There isn't a way to give a counter argument to this thing's strength. There's always a counter argument, or there's always something about it. This Pokemon was the most bannable Pokemon of Generation 9. How did it wait till this long to find out? Chiyu has emerged as the most centralizing piece of the current Scarlet and Violet OU. There's that buzzword that no one can ever be consistent about once again. That's all they have to do. We don't like it, centralizing. Idiots, NPCs over at Smogon, you ban it! And then that's it. That's the entire process right there. An excellent 135 attack, that's wrong on its own because 135 doesn't have like just crazy non-stop one-shots. It comes down to ability and moveset from there because you also need high base power to back out the 135 or else you're not really accomplishing anything with it. It's as powerful as a 110 special attack in a lot of cases. So with overall decent stat line, Chiyu's very potent offensive typing of Dark Fire coupled with its overwhelming power and very potent Terastalization makes it a nightmare for teams to handle defensively. Congratulations, you described what a sweeping Pokemon is supposed to do. Terastalizing to Fire exacerbates this power even further to the point that Specs Overheat from Chiyu 2-hit KOs non-special defense Blissey from full hit points. Congratulations, you just described what a sweeping Pokemon is supposed to do. Like, look at this, Specs. So you're locked into Overheat. Overheat, which cuts your special attack in half. You also have to go Terra Fire, which is your Mega Power, to get rid of a single Pokemon on the opponent's team. So you get rid of the Blissey, except it's also that you can 2-hit KO Blissey. So if you actually run the damage calculations, I guess since Smogon's at 100, we can do that, which is actually more favorable for Blissey because of how damage stuff works. Like, am I doing something wrong here? Max hit points, Blissey. Without the special defense, or you put in the 4, 2v2, 2v2, 4. So non-special invested Blissey. We have Beads of Ruin, Choice Specs, we have Terastalization on, and we're using Overheat. And I guess if you say can 2-hit KO. Alright, you can't see it on screen, but what I did was I subtracted 480 health from Blissey to simulate the highest damage roll possible. So now we can go -2, and it's a 25% chance to KO Blissey after getting the highest damage roll possible. Also, because Smogon players are bad, they don't understand the power of Calm Mind Blissey. So actually, Chiyu is a free win for the Blissey player, because Chiyu comes in, uses Overheat, Blissey predicts that on a Calm Mind, it now cannot be KO'd, Blissey gets to soft-boiled, and then Chiyu is forced to switch. And that's also a free defense curl turn for the Blissey, and now Blissey just can survive anything the opponent throws at it. So when you apply critical thinking and real game application, their leading argument doesn't even hold up. And it's supposed to be like, this thing needs to be banned because it's a special attacker that takes out Blissey. And then it actually doesn't, and it just gives Blissey the freest setup of all time. And that's really another large flaw that you can see with Smogon arguments and logic, is that they already factor in the stealth rocks. They already factor in you being at some kind of disadvantage, or them earning free turns, to then say, well, this is busted, even though it's not a neutral game state. So, yeah, and again, okay, you take out the Blissey, but now you have a set Terra. Like, you have no surprise left in your Terra, and your Chiyu is forced to switch, which also means, like, Blissey's out, Pokemon comes in for free, and Chiyu does nothing. So now it's actually advantage for the player that just lost a Pokemon because the argument is so weak. Nuts. Chiyu can also use other Terra types such as Fairy to snipe Roaring Moon, Chance Tyranitar, and 2-hit KO Ting-Lu. And once again, it's the argument that we saw with Greninja, where, well, it has every different possible moveset, every item combination, every EV spread, every nature, and now every possible Terra type at the same time. Therefore, it has no counters. Therefore, obvious ban. And then, just a lot of nonsense right here. Chiyu proved to be a surprisingly versatile threat that is consistently nigh impossible to play with on equal terms. It has 100 speed, and it's going to be choice locked. But not Scarf, Specs. And it has no physical defense. And it's fire type. Any Earthquake. God, Garchomp could come back and take out the strongest, most least surprising ban in Smogon. And Garchomp's bad now. That's nuts. And now we can look at Annihilape getting banned. Annihilape is the new Dracovish. It's a Pokemon that isn't good, that just absolutely stomps Timmies like we have never seen before. Annihilate escaped most people's sights. If it was so good, then why? Oh, that's because you banned everything else and there's nothing left. Again, I wish I could just keep the Pokemon I like and ban everything that stops my team and then call myself a good Pokemon player. But no, that's not how real Pokemon works. So, formally released during the chaos of the first few days. I mean, we're like 6 weeks out, even more now, 7 weeks out. You can't say chaos of first few days over a month later. So, it quickly emerged as one of the most important threats. They only know how to, like, copy-paste say the same thing. Despite being overshadowed, has emerged. We banned everything, so now a new threat has emerged. Rage Fist is a hellish move to face off against, as it forces Pokemon to withhold damaging Annihilate if they don't do significant enough damage to OHKO it or put it out of commission for the rest of the game. Against the comic Bulk Up, Rage Fist, Drain Punch, Taunt set, sometimes Rest, using weak moves against it makes little progress. Well, yeah, that's the whole thing about hating a tank Pokemon, is that it takes a lot of hits. But now this Annihilape has no speed, and even though it's like max hit points, max special defense, like, it still doesn't do damage. Like, putting all that, like, going full tank, and then maxing out, and then throwing a Drain Punch, which is low base power, doesn't threaten a lot of tanky Pokemon. Like, it makes it hard to KO Annihilate because you just keep healing off of it. But Annihilate doesn't become a sweeping threat until you Timmy into it and hit it. Also, this kind of shows other problems with Smogon ban logic. That Annihilate is hard countered by one-hit KO moves in bulk. Because, okay, you're setting up bulk up, I'll just remove you from the game in the 6 bulk ups that it takes. Or even at a +4, +5, you hit my tanky Pokemon that has full hit point investment, you don't KO me, well, I still have that opportunity off of the Fissure. And then there's Pokemon like Dondozo, unaware, don't feed the Annihilape and you win. Despite its typing being one of the best possible offensively, defensively, it can be lackluster. This is where Terastalization comes in. Annihilape is one of the best abusers of Terastalization in OU. Once again, seeding those arguments, trying to make it, hey, this didn't get banned, but it's so abusive, it needs to be banned. Most commonly terastalizing to water, but feasibly being able to become other types such as Steel, Fire, Normal. Water is pretty strong, and then being able to change checks and potential stops. So it really is like, Smogon is supposed to be about the handshaking, predictable. I out-predicted your switch 4 times in a game. You only out-predicted my switch 3 times in game. Therefore, I'm the better player and absolutely 100% deserve to win because I've established that I am the better Pokemon battler. Just no argument. So just like with every other ban argument from Smogon, it's now too hard to predict, and forcing people to change their teams to adapt to the meta is completely unacceptable. Therefore, we must ban it. And somehow Cyclizar getting banned? Premier user of Shedtail is getting its due. Finally getting its due! Where's it emerging? Where's this thing emerging in the metagame? We have exclusively voted on Cyclizar, not Shedtail, because Orthworm hasn't been a headache with it. What makes Cyclizar truly broken is the access to an exceptionally high amount of utility alongside Shedtail, Rapid Spin, Knockoff, U-Turn, Taunt. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I didn't know the Smogon format was using 5 moves. Wild. That must be some fun Pokemon. A useful defensive typing, and most importantly, Regenerator, alongside okay-ish bulk. Why do you say, like, this thing's so strong it needs to be banned because of all these things alongside its okay thing? And then it has speed, and then Shedtail. Of course, Shedtail is the only reason Cyclizar is even viable. So, one gimmick that this Pokemon's gonna throw, using up a Pokemon on your team for a single move is what makes the Pokemon so strong. The way Shedtail resists move guessing games is second to none, providing not only a free entry to a Pokemon, but potentially multiple free turns. And so a wrong turn with a passive Pokemon turns into a death sentence against Cyclizar plus offensive threats. This is the most contradicting hypocrisy I've seen. Actually, not the most. That was the Aegislash suspect, where they had multiple definitions for over-centralizing, and they all conflicted with each other in the same ban post. That was wild. So, Smogon's about like, but we need to predict someone to show who's better, but because Cyclizar negates that, it's not okay. Cyclizar is too strong because we over-prioritize guessing games, and then the player that makes the wrong guess loses harder against Cyclizar. Ban. It's also ran on hyper-offensive teams with screens, usually through Grimmsnarl, so that now you need 2 Pokemon to set up a Cyclizar, making Shedtail substitutes significantly harder to deal with even for non-passive Pokemon. And this is what happens when you ban all of the power out of the game, like Fluttermane, Houndstone, Palafin, now Chiyu, now some other things. It's like, wait, doesn't that mean Cyclizar makes it harder for Annihilape to be successful? Apparently, but just ban both of them. That way we don't have to think or be good at Pokemon. That makes sense. And then, like, yeah, over-investing into the setup. It's the same thing with Houndstone, where it's like, okay, Houndstone needs to give up all of its Pokemon, set Sand, and then not make sure the opponent doesn't have any normal types left. And then it's decent. And then there's, like, a little sentence at the bottom where they call Shedtail oppressive, and you can really just kind of see, like, these are just SJW babies in Pokemon. They just use gobbledygook made-up language to, like, identity politic Pokemon, and then spam buzzwords like oppressive, emerging, and over-centralization until idiots and NPCs just go like, yeah, that's what it is, that's the thing. It just gets worse and worse. Wow, it's one of those things where it's like, I shouldn't be surprised, but wow, I'm surprised at how bad it constantly gets. Like, you think it goes rock bottom, and then it doesn't. And then people say, well, you don't have to play Smogon, and that's a lie, because anyone that doesn't play Smogon knows that you are only going to get in fights with these babies because they can't handle real Pokemon. When you're playing real Pokemon, that makes them all upset, and then they try to cancel you in Pokemon and stuff. It's, again, it's all these weird parallels between identity politics and Pokemon now. Losers ruining the game I love for over a decade. What's new? Hope you guys enjoy the video. Hope you all have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.